And we are live. Welcome, everyone. This is The Buzz. My name is Kim Mastrofino, and I'll be your host tonight. Hope you all are doing well. And I just wanted to remind you that you can send us little messages during this interview. And we look forward to all your comments and questions, and we'll try to get to them as much as we can. Also with me today is Kim Abbasel-Goldberg. She is my co-host this evening. Welcome. Always a pleasure to see you, Kim.
Oh, thank you. Same.
Thank you for coming on. Everything going well?
Everything's great. Just
Good.
found out I'm going to be a great grandmother.
Congratulations. I
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, that's so special.
Yeah.
That's so special. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Tonight we have two very special guests. Sue Ljungberg. She was a Gencarella, just so everyone can remember who you were, and I'm sure they know who you are. And Bob Mitchell. So please welcome Sue and Bob.
Hi,
Welcome.
everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Thank you so much for coming on. I know your schedules are busy, and we so look forward to chatting with you and catching up, and really picking your brain as to what you've been doing all these last 50 years. So anyway, we have a bunch of questions for you, easy questions. This is very low key, but it's so good to see both of you. You look fantastic, and I'm so happy to have you on.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So Kim is going to start the first question. So, Kim Abbasel.
Yes. The other one, Kim.
Yes, the other one, Kim.
Guys, it's great to see you. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for agreeing to do this. So this is a question for both of you. It's been 50 years since you graduated from Westerly High School. Can you tell us where life has taken you? We can start with Sue.
Well, I have been, I went to URI, and then I went to Maryland, the University of Maryland, and lived down in DC for a while, and then came back and became a teacher. I married my high school sweetheart, Jens Ljungberg, from Sweden, and I started going out with him in my senior year. We lived in Mystic for like 35 years, and I worked for the Groton school system for about 34 years. I have two children. They went to school in Connecticut. And recently I retired from teaching, and I moved back to Westerly probably about 7 years ago. And I ended up teaching again, working with adults that didn't finish high school. It wasn't a GED. It was a different kind of diploma.
Oh.
And I really enjoyed it. I've worked with all different populations. I've taught everything K through 12 plus college. My degree is in, it used to be called home economics, but now it's called family and consumer science.
Mm-hmm.
And I also have my master's in textiles and design. I'm also have my administration certificate. So I have a very diverse, background. I'm a health teacher, so I've taught health, and you can imagine what that has involved, going through the whole AIDS epidemic and getting curriculum passed and, accepted and all that.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden I saw this ad looking for a family and consumer science teacher about, I guess it was 4 years ago now. And I thought, it's part-time, that might be fun. So I threw my hat into the ring, and I got the job, and I've been working at Westerly High School. I would have never in a million years bet that I'd be back at the Westerly High School ever. And I'm having a blast. So that's, and I have two grandchildren now, two little boys, which are which is really exciting for Jens and I. Mr. Mitchell?
Well, thank you, Sue, and good evening, everybody. Just to, ironically, I went to URI, and I was lucky because I had an athletic scholarship, so I played football at URI for 4 years. And after I graduated from URI, I actually I did some substitute teaching. There were no jobs then. I graduated with a degree in health and phys ed, and I think it was January or February of 1978, because I was in Washington, D.C. during the blizzard of 78.
Right.
Actually, Sue and I have always been very close. And I went to Washington, D.C. for a weekend, and I ended up staying there for over 3 years.
Oh,
So that was, and we shared an apartment together, and that was a wonderful experience. I learned so much. I think I learned as much about life as a result of living there for 3 years as I did in the previous 21 years combined. So that was a wonderful experience. And then when I returned home, I actually, the plan was to work the summer in Westerly, and then Donnie Morano and I were going to go to California. That was the plan.
Huh.
But I ended up playing, believe it or not, I ended up playing semi-pro football, and I got hurt. It wasn't serious, but I hurt my wrist, and I was ended up being in a cast for 6 months, and that changed the plans. And that's when I was working. I was attending bar at Happy Holidays, and I met Sally, who went on to become my wife. And Sally and I have been married for 41 years, and we are in agreement that about 30 of those have been pretty good. And we have 3 children and 6 grandchildren, and everybody's doing really well. So needless to say, that keeps us busy. In fact, on Mother's Day, the whole crew will be here for the day. So that's been wonderful. And when I came back to Wesley, I was fortunate to get a teaching job at Charahoe High School, and I graduated with a degree in health and phys ed, and I have always loved health. So I taught health for 10 years. Then I went on to become a department head. And then my first administrative experience was at Westerly High School. And I was an assistant principal at Wesley High School for 2 years. And what was really interesting about that was I'm an administrator in the school that I graduated from. And a lot of the people that I supervised, I actually had as teachers. So that was interesting.
wow.
So I did that for 2 years. And then I had an opportunity to apply for a job at Stonington High School. And I was fortunate enough to get that position. And I was an assistant principal at Stonington High School for 4 years. And then I applied for the principalship at Charahoe High School. I went back to Charahoe as the principal. I was there for 12 years. And then I had an opportunity to become an assistant superintendent of schools in Cumberland, Rhode Island. And I was fortunate enough to get that job. I did that. I was an assistant principal for 3 years. And assistant superintendent, for 3 years. And then when the superintendent left, they just asked me if I would consider being the superintendent. And of course, I was honored to do that. So I was the superintendent of schools in Cumberland for 6 years before I retired. So I retired as a superintendent of schools. And after I retired, that's when Sally and I moved into this over 55 community in South Kingstown, where we are today. And I did a little bit of consulting, but for a year and a half after I retired, I didn't really do anything. I didn't do a whole lot in education, but I was asked if I would consider being an interim assistant superintendent in North Kingstown. And anyone who lives in this area knows that North Kingstown has been through a lot in the last couple of years. So I was honored that they asked me. So I've been the interim assistant superintendent in North Kingstown for the last couple of months. And it's just because we're on a pension, we can only work so many days. So I'll be doing that until the end of June. So it's been an interesting experience. And one of the things that I did, by the way, which, you can appreciate because of the Westerly Stonington rivalry, one of the things that I did was I coached the Stonington High School football team and for 5 years. And we were fortunate because we won a state championship, which was really, really special. In fact, I don't know that Stonington High School has ever won a state championship in football other than 1991 when I was coaching there. So that was a wonderful experience. So yeah, I mean, it's been an interesting 50 years. Lots of wonderful memories, and Susie G and I and our families have remained really close, and we have other friends. And I think now that all of our kids are older and out of the house, I think we're sort of reconnecting like we did in the old days. So it really is, it's really special, I think. So we're really close still.
One thing funny Bob just said that was he was retired for a year and a half. I was retired for a year and a half. And I mean, I'm still retired, but when you're used to like being with a lot of people working and interacting so much, I mean, the year and a half was about right for me. And then I needed, and I was ready to do something else, which is, I didn't realize we had about the same, a year and a half each.
That's great.
It's funny because, when you're people oriented, when you're home a lot, it's a different thing. It's very peaceful. I traveled a lot, but at about a year and a half, I was ready to do something else.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, retirement has been interesting. I mean, I was definitely ready for it because, I know that one of the questions that you were going to ask was about, our experiences as educators. I'm telling you, it is, I believe, especially as an administrator, and I was an administrator for 27 years, it is harder than ever to do this work. I mean, it is, and I think the thing that has made the work more challenging than ever is social media. It's just trying to stay out in front of all of the craziness that everyone is exposed to is really, I think, one of the most challenging things that we have to deal with as educational leaders these days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Kim, I think you have the next question.
Yeah, you kind of went into to say that the education, just to expand a little bit on what you both just said, that it's extremely hard. It's definitely different nowadays than way back in the day, and I can see where the complications are. There's I don't think I would ever want to be an educator in this day and age. I mean, I give you guys credit for doing what you've done, but just there's so much in it, and I don't know. I don't know how you guys did it, but kudos to you.
Yeah, thank you.
To build on what Bob said, the social media has been a disaster, 100%. Like, like the kids don't think anymore. They don't remember anything anymore. They don't have to because they just look down and they have the answers. So, I mean, everything, the paradigm shift has been amazing. But one thing has never changed. And Bob, you can agree and see if you agree to this. It's still about relationships. I still build or try to build a relationship with every kid I have. And sometimes it clicks right away. And sometimes there's a lot of walls you have to, chip through and get through and prove yourself. But to me, the relationship is the key. And it was the key when I started in 1982, maybe. And it is still now 2023. If you build relationships with your students, with your administration, with your coworkers, with eventually the families get to know you, they trust you. That hasn't changed.
Right.
But I do think that Bob's absolutely right that social media has been a detriment for so many reasons. And one of the reasons is it breaks kids' confidence down. Like one kid can say something and it can go like spread like wildfire, and that hurts.
Yeah.
And it's the kids seeing it over and over and over again. But I spend half of my day building relationships and trying to build kids up and letting them know that they're really great right now, and they should enjoy it and celebrate who they are, their differences and their accomplishments already. These kids do more stuff in a day than I do in a week. And I mean, they're just amazing. My students are amazing. And I don't know how they get everything done, but I think that building relationships is the key. And I think Bob's absolutely right. One of the hardest parts is the social media. I really, I mean, and I think it's just going to get worse.
Yeah.
And if just to build on what Sue said, this is not an exaggeration. I bet you I say 50 times a day that it's all about relationships. And the best organizations have the best relationships. And I'm telling you, there is still nothing more important than sitting down with a person. And I'm talking both students and adults, sitting down face to face and having an honest conversation with them. And you know what? I think one thing, and I think this is where there's no question that Susan has made connections with lots of kids, and some of the stories she tells would touch your heart because she's like their mom for a lot of them. But
grandma now.
One thing that I think we as human beings understand and appreciate, I think we all know sincerity when we see it. So when an adult or a child knows that someone cares about them and really sincere about that, it's a wonderful thing. One of the things that touches my heart more than anything else is when I have kids who come up to me and they actually apologize. They apologize for their behavior when they were in school. And I tell them, first of all, and they have this need to do that, right?
Yeah.
And I tell them, you know what? I don't remember. And it's the thing, and you can tell they're sincere and they were troubled for some reason by that. And I tell them, it's not where you start out, it's where you end up, right?
Yeah.
That's and when you think about the growth that we've all experienced,
Yeah.
I mean, that's really what's important. So
Absolutely.
you know what? People know sincerity when they see it. They also know when they don't see it, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good.
But I've had that same
Yes.
experience. You'll be in the grocery store. I've gone to a bar to get a glass of wine, and there'll be somebody. Are you Miss? They call me Miss LJ. It's just easier. That's what they. Everybody calls me LJ. Are you Miss LJ? I'm like, yeah. Of course now, like I look a little bit different, but I'm not massive. Like they were like 10 or 12 when I knew them. And they look a little different, And but it is a thrill when people say to me, wow, I remember the day, or I still have the thing I made in your room, or I remember you always used to say. So you really, as a teacher and an educator, and it's unfortunately you don't always get to know it, have such an impact on you. And I think that's one of the reasons I still do it. I still feel like I have something to contribute.
That's awesome.
Can I tell you just a quick story? I promise it'll be quick. Just to build again on what Susie G just said. When I became the principal at Charahoe High School, it was a little out of control. And one of the things I'm most proud of, when I left 12 years later, Charahoe went from, they were literally designated as low performing and not improving when I was started there. And when I left, they were, Charahoe was a Regents commended school. So there was this wonderful transition, right? So it wasn't just me, it was a lot of people. But leadership has a lot to do with it. But anyway, every single day, I think I told you this story, Sue. Every single day, we would, during the morning announcements, and when I first started there, I did the morning announcements because I wanted kids to get to know me and I wanted to set the tone because things weren't going too well there. So every single morning, at the end of the morning announcements, I would say, please remember to treat one another with dignity and respect. And every single morning. And then if for 12 years we did this, right? So if for some reason, and then after I did it for a couple of years, we had students do the morning announcements. But if somebody forgot to say that, kids would come up to me and they would say, Mr. Mitchell, you forgot to say the thing about treat one another with dignity and respect.
Aw.
It became, and there's even a more beautiful story. It even became like a part of the culture. It was in graduation speeches.
Wow.
And I would have parents come up to me and say, you know what, Mr. Mitchell, you always talk about treating one another with dignity and respect, and I don't feel like my child's being treated that way. So, I mean, that's what happened. So anyway, so I left in 2012. We moved to South Shore Village, where we're living right now, and we were going to have our basement done, right? Our finished, right? And we got a couple of estimates. And one of the individuals that we got an estimate from, he said, hey, are you Mr. Mitchell? Were you the principal at Charahoe High School? And I said, yeah. He said, I graduated in 2000 something. I said, oh, that's awesome. I said, it seems like you're really doing well. You know what he said? Now it's been over 12 years. He said, that's because I treat people with dignity and respect.
Wow. Wow.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that
That's
unbelievable?
awesome.
It
I
is.
mean, geez. So you know what? Susan's right. Like we impact people, all of us, in ways that we don't even realize. And what's better than impacting the life of a child, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. That was a great story, and that just like melts my heart when I hear that. That's just beautiful.
Touches I have a tough time getting it out. Believe me, it's
Oh.
such an emotional thing for me.
You need a tissue?
No, I'm good. I'm good.
So I am going to ask you the next question. And you've already kind of elaborated on a little bit of some of your achievements, but can you tell us what your greatest achievements have been and what you enjoy most in this stage of your life now?
You want me to go first?
Sure.
Yes.
You know what? That's a hard question for me because I feel like my life is like, instead of like every life has highs and lows, but I feel like I'm more of on a continuum. And I guess when I think about my achievement, I think my achievement is that I've cared about my loved ones and my students and myself, and taking care of myself by exercising every day, and really like stay current and never give up. So it's not like one day or one event for me. It's more like my lifestyle and my the way I've carried through, if that makes sense. Like, like working with students, having bad days, getting up and doing it again and trying to make, new starts, and rather than like a single achievement. I guess that every student that I've had an effect on would be one of my accomplishments. And a lot of times you don't get the feedback, but many times you do. And so I mean, for an example, a story would be like what Rob said. I had a student that wrote me I think in the 90s, and said that he was in a tent in Afghanistan, and that he was sewing on buttons or patches or something, and that he was doing it for all his buddies, and he wouldn't be able to do that if he didn't take my class. And so somehow he emailed me, and I got this, and I knew who he was, and it was same kind of thing. So it's the little accomplishments that I guess I'm most proud about, instead of like one single thing. That's professionally. Obviously, my own children, and my relationship with my husband, I'm also very proud of. Bob and I, we not only did we grow up together, we hung out in DC together as best friends always, and then we got married the same year. So I've been married 41 years coming up, and he was married. So I mean, all those things I think I'm proud of. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yes.
Yeah. You know what? I guess for me, I hope I've been, a good husband and a good father, and I'm getting tremendous joy out of my relationship with my grandchildren. So I hope, and I guess people I love would, be best to answer that question. But I hope I've been good at those things. And there's something I think about all the time. One of the most inspirational people I've met in my life was Sal Algeri.
Oh, yeah.
And so, I mean, and so I wanted to be like that, right? I've not told too many people this, by the way. I mean,
Well, now you have.
now, but you know what? I wanted to be like one of those people that inspires people to do things that they didn't know they could. So I think about this quote all the time, right? There's this quote. I'm not even 100% sure who said it, but I believe that great teachers and great coaches. No, let me reword that. I believe that the responsibility of a teacher and a coach, and teaching is coaching and coaching is teaching, they're the same thing. I believe that the responsibility of a teacher and a coach is not to help students reach their potential. The responsibility of a teacher and a coach is to help students reach to reach potential that they never knew they had, right? So that's the way that I have, gone about, my work as an administrator, as a teacher, and a coach. I mean, that is really important to me, because I really feel like Sal Algeri did that, right? I mean, the reason that we did as well as we did athletically is because not only did he, know how to coach all the skills, but he brought us to this place emotionally that no one else did. I mean, so I've tried to do that not only with kids but with adults too. So I think we all need to be inspired, and I think we can all be inspired. So I guess that would be the best way for me to respond to that question.
Great answers.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah.
Okay. So can you tell us your favorite high school memory? What was your favorite class? And who was your favorite teacher? Sue?
It's funny because I thought about that, and being at the high school, it's like I'm still making memories. So, one of the things the only graduation I ever went to was my Westerly High School graduation. I didn't go. I have 4 other degrees, and I didn't go to any of them. But to me, I grew up in Westerly, and to wear that gown and go in that, graduate was one of the more proud moments of my life at that time. And I look back at it fondly. And obviously it was important to me because it's the only one I ever did. The rest, I have my master's, another degree, one after that. And I just never cared enough. But it just goes to show you that walking across that stage. So for me, it would be as simple as that, just the graduation day. And I thought that was the biggest thing ever, so that's what I picked. Rob, what would you say?
You know what? I would say, and I've said this publicly before, I think the person that had the most significant, I had Sal Algeri as a coach. I think he impacted a lot of athletes' lives in a positive way. But there's no question that the teacher that had the biggest impact on my life was Eva Dupre. And she was one of those teachers when in the fall, when you got your schedule and you got her for a teacher, you went, oh no, because you knew you were going to have to work, right? Yeah. So I'm telling you, and this is the honest to God truth. I'm a senior in high school, and I really was not comfortable writing. I was insecure about writing. Eva Dupre taught me how to write. And you know what? I was even after that experience, I was always insecure about my writing, and as you can imagine, as an administrator, I have to write all the time, and it's as an educator, so you can appreciate this. People expect things to be perfect, right? Yeah. So anyway, I think the most significant point I want to make is that she had the biggest impact on my life academically, because she was the one who really taught me a process to organize my thinking and how to get started and all of that. And I've actually and I didn't believe people when they told me this, but I've had people say I write well. And to this day, it is, hard for me to believe because it was just so hard for me to get started. But she taught me how to do it. So I would have to say Eva Dupre.
Yeah.
All right.
She was a great teacher. I had her. I loved her.
Yeah, she was.
Yeah, she's amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. So, what message would you give to the class of 73? We'll start with you, Sue.
My message would be that I hope they've enjoyed the journey, and I hope they're still continuing to enjoy, because I think so many people think they let age get in their way, and I hope that that they realize how special they are and how much they have to give, and they can still give it back to the community so many ways, and their experiences and their the qualities they possess, that they need to share them with the young people, because they need that. They need those connections.
That's
Yeah,
great.
that's a tough question. I guess the message that I would like to share is that, we're at an age, I know that we've all experienced the heartache and loss, and we've lost really close friends, but I guess every day is a blessing, and I do believe that we need to cherish every single day that we have, and let people know how we feel about them. And I think it was I've tuned into a couple of these sessions over the last couple of months, and I think it was Tom Barbone who said, we need to let people know how much we love them, right? So I mean, and what's amazing, as I age, as a man, right, as a jock, as a I'm finding that men who are close to me are okay. They're able to say we're able to say that we love one another, which is pretty cool. Which is a pretty cool thing. I mean, Susie G and I have been able to say that, for forever. I mean, every time we see each other, or every time we we go out to dinner and the night is ending, we say, we love you. I mean, so I think more than ever, it's important for us to share that, because every day is a blessing.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Very well said, both of you. That's amazing.
And what else would you like others to know?
Ooh.
Well, I really think that, well, we've pretty much shared everything at this point. But, I think that just that even if you're old and you have aches and pains, you still have so much more to live, and never give up. If you can only walk down the street, then walk down the street, listen to the birds sing, find joy in the little things. I spend as much time as I can outside, and I don't put the plugs in, or I just want to listen to Mother Nature. I want to see the bunnies. This morning I rode my bike. I saw maybe a dozen bunnies hop. It gives me joy. Find joy in the little things, and if you can, then every day special.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more with Sue. I mean, I know that she's an avid exerciser, and I taught health for 10 years, so that's something that I've always really been interested in, and I've never not worked out. I mean, there has never been a time in my life when I haven't taken care of myself. So I'm pretty conscientious about what I eat, and I make sure that I exercise at least not in retirement, at least 5 or 6 days a week. I take one day off, but you know what? I mean, there's something to be said about getting into those healthy routines. And you know what? Everybody knows. We all know exactly what we need to do, right? The question is, if we're not doing it, what's getting in the way? And if we're not doing it, we can start tomorrow. So I agree with Sue. I ran this morning. I run at least 5 or 6 days a week, and I do not listen to anything because I don't feel that we're alone enough in our own thoughts and to, hear the things, the birds and all of it, and wild turkeys flying overhead. And I had 3 deer run in front of me within the last couple of days. I mean, I absolutely love that. So it's never too late to start doing these kinds of things.
I live by a few cliches, and they're really cliches. And one is, today is the, first day of the rest of your life. And I say that to myself constantly. And it's sort of like almost embarrassing because it's such a cliche. But if you live by that, you take advantage of every day, and you're ready to start anew. You're ready to try harder. And that's
You're right.
That's sort of my way I roll.
Yeah.
And it
That's
works
awesome.
for me.
Yeah. That's good.
That's very good. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Well, we're coming on to the mark of closing our broadcast, but I just, before we leave, I just wanted to let you know that, people are listening. Sylvia Stedman said, hi, all, doing a great job. Someone else said, boo. Someone else said, go Bulldogs. And someone else said, hello to all. So thank you so much for everyone who has been listening and making comments. We do appreciate it. And I just wanted to say to Sue and Bob, you guys, I have to give you so much credit, and I appreciate all that you have done to make a difference in the lives of others.
Well, thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you.
You guys have, what you do is a very special thing. And even, in your retirement, you're role models. You continue to be role models, and that's amazing.
Yeah.
And so I do applaud you. And I just wanted to say thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. And Kim Abasso, thank you for coming on and being my co-host.
Absolutely.
I think this is great. And just one quick thing on a side note, reunion, updates, not too much updates other than, we are getting donations for the fund that we're going to be supporting as a class gift. So keep that coming. We do appreciate your donations. And we are having another meeting soon. And we will put that on social media. But if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Oh, yes, Bob?
Can I just say one thing? And I've been thinking about this a lot. And, I want to thank the both of you. And I know that other people have been involved. I know Scott and Diane Coburn, who I talked to for the first time in 50 years, not too long ago. So, I mean this sincerely, thank God that we have people like you to, pull all of this together. So I know that a lot of people feel that way. So thank you both and all the others involved in doing this really fun stuff. For all that you're doing to pull us together. Thank you.
Well, thank you. It's actually been very, very fun for me anyway. I'm enjoying, being part of it and working with a great bunch of people on the committee who work really hard. And, Sylvia Stedman has been involved. There's lots of people been involved and come and go and, to be part of the process. And I think Kim's been involved. Sue, you've been coming to our broadcasts for, the committee meetings. And it's just really awesome to see everyone pulling together for this event and to mark our 50th year. And I think, it's so nice to have more people involved and having interest. So that's really good. So
Thank you, everybody.
Thank
50
you.
years.
See you,
50
Rob.
years. What?
50 years. We're all great.
That's
Y'all
right.
look great.
Yes.
Lucky. We're lucky.
Living our
lucky.
best
Count
lives.
your blessings.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Take care. Thanks again.
Good night.
And we'll
Thank
see
you,
you all
guys.
next
Good
time.
to,
Good
good to
night.
talk to you, Sue. I'll be in touch with you.
Oh, perfect. Thanks. Spread the word.
I will.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, ladies.